If you were an
All right, Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson, but I'm gonna have to do maybe 3 videos on this particular video right here. It's so heavy. So first off, let me get into this Copyright Act of 1976. Read this real quick. It says the Copyright Act of 1976, specifically Section 107, codifies the fair use doctrine, allowing limited use of copyrighted material without permission under specific circumstances. This section outlines that using copyrighted works for purposes like criticism, comment, news reporting, or teaching, scholarship, or research can be considered fair use. All right, so you brothers and you sisters, buckle up. All right, so I'm gonna be doing a commentary on this video. If you want to watch the whole video, I recommend you do that. This is the name of it. Let me scroll up. It says the anatomy of collective mind control. So everything that you know in this present world has been socially engineered to you, and especially our women with the whole feminist movement. That was all orchestrated by these Edomites. So let's get into this lesson, and I'm gonna be doing a commentary, stopping it here and there to break down these points.
American woman in the 1920s, smoking a cigarette in public was considered absolutely unacceptable, a trademark behavior of prostitutes and rebels. But something curious happened during the Easter parade in New York. Dozens of elegant women lit their cigarettes simultaneously, calling them torches of freedom, a symbol of female emancipation. Sounds cool, right? What these women didn't know was that they were starring in the first major social engineering experiment of the modern era. Behind that spontaneous demonstration was Edward Bernays, nephew.
There you're gonna be doing a lesson, later on down the road, maybe one day this week on these devils. So we got it's a lot of information to unpack. So if you knew in the truth or you've been in the truth, this is gonna blow your mind. The level of deception and confusion that these devils have brought to the world, and they have indoctrinated our women. And you can't tell the Jake woman shit. That's the problem. You can't tell them shit. Besides the sisters that's waking up and that's humbling themselves down, you can't tell them shit. They're not trying to, focus on this information, which this affects their life. All right, so let me get in more into this.
Of Sigmund Freud, working for the American Tobacco Company. Bernays had discovered something revolutionary. You don't need to sell a product. You just need to sell an identity, a feeling, a dream. Using his famous uncle's psychoanalytic theories about the unconscious mind, Bernays turned smoking from a male vice into a symbol of female empowerment.
You see it? So the same thing with feminism, every other so-called movement has been manufactured by the Edomites. And they do this to play mind, to play with your mind, to put you on a spell, to get you caught up in all the politics, the media, the mass media. That you notice when they run a story on the media, that's what people talk about. That's what the conversations, the water cooler conversations, so to speak, right? That's what people talk about. So it's gonna get deeper.
Within a few years, Lucky Strike sales to women exploded. More importantly, this marked the birth of something called the engineering of consent. What you're about to discover goes far beyond shallow conspiracy theories. We're talking about an invisible architecture of control operating in layers so deep within human consciousness that its victims not only consent to their own manipulation.
Right here. So this is another one. This spiritual right here. So they got that so-called white image, what I'm saying, so-called white guy, Cesare Borgia, on this cross right here. And this what people, this is, like I say, this is a deep, deep, deep enchantment on our people just in the world in general. So they use that as well to put more enchantments on your mind to keep you under this illusion. And that's why the people are all messed up. The people are heavily endorsed in confusion. So look at this, right? It's heavy.
They fiercely defend it. Get ready for a journey through the most hidden layers of social reality, where we'll uncover how entire societies are manipulated to willingly remain miserable and ignorant through techniques that combine deep psychology, occult symbolism, and social engineering. This is the anatomy of collective mind control, the engineering of consent. Today, almost a century after Freud's nephew ran that experiment, we live submerged in an infinitely more sophisticated version of the same manipulation. Every impulse buy, every political debate, every social crisis, all orchestrated by forces operating in the shadows
You
of
hear
our...
that? These crises, like the immigration thing, they orchestrated all this. Now they, the whole order out of KO. Everything, every movement, every problem has been manufactured, has been created out of thin air. And they pay people to create this confusion and chaos. And that's what the public don't know. People think this is happening organically. No, everything is controlled. The so-called Illuminati, the international banking families, whatever you want to call them, these secret societies that control the monetary system control the world, starting at the J people. But all these people are from the nation of Edom, you know? And that's why you're seeing this right here in the background. This shadow government, as it's been labeled, but they control the world. And they manipulate the media. Nothing is happening by coincidence. Everything's been controlled. Your mind is under deep mind control and you don't know it.
our perception, and most people don't suspect a thing. When Noam Chomsky and Edward Herman published Manufacturing Consent in 1988, they exposed how the media works as a filter that not only decides what we think about, but also what we're allowed to think about.
See that? What you allow, not only what you think about, but what you're allowed to think about. Most people don't know that so-called black people ruled this world 1,000 years plus in the so-called dark ages. That's the farthest thing from the people's minds. They don't understand all the people out of the Bible were so-called black people, but you haven't been taught that's important for you to know. That's why people don't talk about it or worry about it. That's why our videos get such a small amount of views, and you have some folly. You have a ninja eating a Popeye's chicken sandwich, and it got 1 million views. Tell me I'm lying. The people have been trained to be in this monkey-minded state of mind, to not worry about what's really important in this world. That's why they give you the sports, the bread and circus, everything, the reality so-called shows, which is all scripted. They give you the politics, which all these handpick these people, these so-called politicians, to run a smoke on you. They just fatten their pockets on your own ignorance. And it goes on and on. We're talking about every level of existence in this system has been manipulated.
Everything you consume, from the Netflix series you binge to the news story on your feed, carries a hidden layer of information serving the interests of whoever controls that media.
Biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly.
All I'm saying the same thing. Some should register. It's a problem. Why all these people, these so-called news anchors, these modern day warlocks and witches, why are they all saying the same script? Because the same people that control the money system controls the media. They control the entertainment. They control everything. They just don't control Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and it's truth. That's the only thing that they cannot tamper with. It's pure. But everything else that you know in this world has been orchestrated, manipulated, has been given on to you. The school system is so gone, and this college so-called system is a joke. People don't know that they're paying to go get indoctrinated. Let's get more into this.
One people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
After the Vietnam War, U.S. government studies found that the population had developed what they called a sickly inhibition against violence. In other words, Americans had become too reluctant to support military action, which is problematic for an imperial superpower. As investigative journalist David Robb documented in his book, Operation Hollywood, How the Pentagon Shapes and Censors the Movies, the U.S. Department of Defense has been influencing Hollywood for over 50 years, offering technical support and military equipment in exchange for control over movie content. Films like Rambo weren't just casual entertainment. They were carefully orchestrated psychological operations to reprogram public perception of violence and patriotism. The Pentagon systematically collaborates with studios to ensure war films portray conflicts as necessary and heroic. They provide military gear, locations, and technical consultants,
Here it is.
but only
So like all these so-called Hollywood movies, which they had that movie Independence Day playing, that movie is very spiritual. Because what these devils are actually telling you that they in their pride, you know, Obadiah, what's that, Obadiah 1 and I think 8, the pride of thine heart, or 1, you know, it's somewhere in there. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee, which is the Edomites. They actually think they're going to be able to beat Yahweh Shai and the angels. This is how delusional that this devil is. And this is how he's been able to control the narrative. He actually got in that movie that they got a victory, right? And they showed the angels and Yahweh Shai's green men, grotesque looking men, you know, these green creatures rather. And you're gonna pay for that too. These gray green creatures was conjured up through the Edomites' imagination to put that witchcraft on you. So when you think about so-called aliens, you'll think about them as you saw in the movies. Remember, they use their movies, their media to put these enchantments on you. And it's on everything, every single thing that you can think of. From a goddamn alien to feminism. I mean, and everything in between. It's a vast amount of things that you can't comprehend that they're done to you. That's why most of our people, it ain't a repair in their mind. They finish.
only if they get final script approval. The result? An entire generation grew up romanticizing war, psychologically primed for decades of military interventions. The most powerful tool in the engineering of consent is distraction. The ancient Romans already knew this. Keep the masses fed and entertained, and they won't question power. Panem et circenses. Today, this strategy has been turned into a science. Your TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube algorithms are designed by behavioral neuroscientists to hijack your brain's reward system. As former Google executive Tristan Harris revealed in
And these devils go, they cover everything. That's what's so diabolical about them. You think that, you know, everything in this society, some stuff is happening organically. No, they control everything. TikTok, why you think, what was the purpose of them doing TikTok, right? You know, now they got YouTube Shorts. And it's to get your attention, to keep you locked into that folly. You know, sometimes I have to catch myself because, you know, we be looking for videos, you know, to do lessons on, but you can get caught up in that madness. And it's to keep you distracted, right? To keep you, and then by the time you get ready to focus on anything, you're drained. So it's a method to everything that goes on in society. It's a method to their madness, and it's this hidden hand you can't fathom, you can't comprehend, but it's going on. And most people call this a conspiracy theory, but yet look at the condition of the people. And I'm showing you proof. I'm showing you facts.
the documentary The Social Dilemma, these platforms compete for the most valuable commodity of the digital age, your attention. The goal isn't just to keep you glued to the screen. It's to drain every ounce of your mental energy that could be used for personal growth or critical questioning. After all, who's going to meditate or work when there's an endless feed of content designed to be more addictive than...
Boom, there you go. Who's gonna, you know, and most of these Americans, they don't critically think about anything. They'll critically think about how to plan a vacation, or how, you know, how to, you know, you know, just some folly, right? But yeah, this is a heavy video. Like I said, I'm gonna have to do a part 2 and maybe a part 3 just to go deep in this and continue to keep, you know what I'm saying, this you need to understand just the way this world is set up. Hopefully this has been edifying. Call Allah Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rachat Kodash. Shalom.